Hello, my name is Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to talk about awakening is dehypnotization. This actually came from Alan Watts. One of the talks that he had talked about, he equated enlightenment and awakening with dehypnotization. And if you really think about it, that's really what it is, because a newborn infant has no concept of me or other, and we acquire. We're given a name, we're referred to it, we're told not to fidget, we're told to control ourselves. There's all these suggestions that are made that you are the body mind. And over time, we become very conditioned or hypnotized to believe and feel we are separate. Because I've had people tell me that, no, the me is not just a thought and belief like I've been saying. They're telling me, no, it's a feeling. There's a feeling of me. Well, that's how deep the hypnotization has run. Is it's moved into being felt. It's kind of like when someone is on stage and with a hypnotist, and the hypnotist suggests that they itch or they're cold or whatever, and they feel what's going on. The mind is that powerful. Awakening very much is a dehypnotization, a coming out of it and seeing what is as it is. Now, as such, I do not suggest or promote these activities where some teachers will say, well, you must always remember the self. Every time there's a thought of I'm the body mind, you got to shoot back, I'm the self, I'm not the body and mind. Or some suggest affirmations. You're constantly saying, I'm the self, I'm the self. And I don't suggest doing this because instead of dehypnotization and coming out of it, what you're trying to do is re-hypnotize or change the hypnotization. Because if you don't really know you're the self, just affirming or repeating, I'm the self, to try to reprogram yourself into believing you're the self, is not really waking up. It's staying hypnotized. You're just changing the parameters of the hypnotization. And so it's not so much a affirmation or doing that kind of thing, because it's kind of like, let's say, kind of a analogy story, I guess, is, in a kingdom, the king's infant son was stolen by a thief for ransom, and he refused to pay, and the son disappeared and assumed to be dead. Now, the thief decided to raise the child as his own, and years passed, and the infant grew to boyhood to adulthood and such, and eventually took over the position of being the king of thieves. Now, one day, as he was out in the kingdom, one of the old king's retainers had spotted him, and being he strikingly looked like the king, the former king who had died not long ago, he grabs a hold of the king of thieves, this child or this man, and says, "Hey, you are the king, and you should come with me." And so he goes to the castle, and everyone keeps telling him he's the king, but he doesn't feel he's the king. His people are the thieves that are in his group. And as he's in the castle, he's eyeing it up, looking to see what he can steal. Now, no amount of repeating or programming, you're the king, you're the king, you're the king, is going to convince him that he's the king. It is only when understanding true understanding arises. Say the King of Thieves spotted a portrait of his father, his true father, as a young man, and it looked like it was looking in the mirror. He might come to realize that this really is his father, and as the son of the king, he is now the king. And there may be a shift in understanding where he actually does realize he's the king. This comes through a dehypnotization, a dispelling of ignorance. It does not come about by chanting or affirming, I'm the self, I'm the self. So many teachers, past and present, have suggested this, and they say, well, you just got to do it long enough and disciplined enough, and eventually you'll realize you're the self. And I don't buy this, because unlike understanding arising, the dispelling of ignorance and understanding arising, where you truly realize the self, the rub here is if you're affirming what you believe to be the self. It's your current conception of self, not the self. And so you're affirming, I'm the self, as much as you can conceive the self to be. And that is what you're trying to convince you are. But that is not the self. The self is so much more and transcends that. And so I guess I wanted to just relay that awakening really is a dehypnotization, a coming out of it. And there's no point in reprogramming or changing the hypnotization to make yourself believe you're the self. You still don't know you're the self. You can just hypnotize yourself to the point where you really believe you're the self, whatever you currently conceive the self to be. And that is not true awakening. Awakening is a dispelling of ignorance. It's a coming out of it. It's a dehypnotization. And seeing what is as it is. And I think this is why some of the some of the Hindu scriptures and such say, don't pursue the truth. Just dispel what is false. I can't remember where I read that once, but it stuck with me. That you're not trying to pursue the truth or embody the truth. You're simply seeing and dispelling what you're not. That's the more sure way, is to see what you're not, as opposed to trying to convince yourself something that you don't know yet. Anyways, if you have any questions, please post below. If you got any comments, love to hear them as well. But if you want to be notified of future videos, I also encourage you to subscribe, share the video with people that you think might be interested in hearing it. But until next time, thank you much.